Hello and welcome back to the lecture on macroeconomics for managers. In this lecture, we are going to cover certain principles that we study in economics. In the previous lecture, we spoke that economics is about studying these principles, and in this lecture, we are actually going to elaborate upon some of the principles that we actually learn in both microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, just to mention one thing that microeconomics and macroeconomics are different subjects. All that's true, but they are quite intricately related as well. And we'll see when you're learning macroeconomics, we're going to borrow a lot of things from what you have learned in microeconomics, and we're going to cover that in the next lecture. So let's start with the principles that we have learned or we are going to learn in this course. So the first thing that we learned, or the first thing that we always sort of study when we study microeconomics, is that the fact that we as human have become something. We're not like the other animals. We have built our home, we have built our factories, we have built our cars, we have built roads, we have built infrastructures. There is something that actually made us to do so, barring keeping like the other factors like our intelligence or other physical abilities. I mean, in fact, if you look at our physical ability, like if we go back to the time of um, hunters and gatherers of our forefathers, so you'll see that humans are literally really frail as compared to other animals, right? But from there, we have made a long way. It is a long journey for the human being, the humanity, where we are today, right? Now, how did all this happen? We'll not go too detailed into it, but that's a very, very interesting topic to actually study. There's a very interesting description of how all this happened. You can read the book *Sapiens* by Yuval Harari. Um, but one thing, there are many factors. People explain that well, we can work as a team, and so on and so forth. But one thing that everybody agrees is that we always wanted to do, wanted to have a better life. We have this desire, we have this drive to do better. We sort of try to achieve, better things in life, and that actually kind of underpins, the classical economics, neoclassical economics, even the Marxian economics. So everybody agrees on this factor that we human are always we always have insatiable desire, and because of this insatiable desire we always try to maximize our utility. So whatever resources we have, we try to maximize our utility. So this utility could vary from person to person. So whatever your utility is, you have your indifference curves, and you sort of uh, depending on what resources, what budget line you have, you already learned it, you can kind of decide what you want to have along the indifference curve. Now let's say, for example, in your school days or in your college days, you didn't have money, you had time. So like divided this time into different things. Say, for example, you use the time to study. Part of this time you use to sort of say play with, be with the friends, and go for some sports. Some other time probably have saved, like probably to earn some money, maybe doing some part-time job online, or maybe you know providing some students some tuition or something like that, a little bit of money. um, Now then you have, say, for example, like, so this, it can vary from person to person. Someone may actually think that, okay, let me not give my time to get this part-time earning. Why not I invest all my time into studies so that I can have a better career? So that's how you kind of see your utilities, and you kind of decide how do you want to sort of, fulfill your desire, whatever you want. Now, implied in this is the notion of scarcity, right? You have a limited time. You have a limited time. You have almost no money and you have a limited time, right? You can't have more than 24 hours a day. So that's all you have. Now, there comes the notion of scarcity, and that actually really fundamental in economics. If there was no scarcity, perhaps the subject economics was not required anymore. It is because of this scarcity we learn, economics. We need to learn so much of economics and so many different models. I mean, think about it. You have everything in this world, whatever you want. I mean, you command and it is there. Like you can travel to places, you can have all the money in this world, you can have all the foods, you can have all the pleasures and beauties that you want in this world. Everything is at your disposal. And that is supposed true for everyone, right? We all are the kings and queens in this world. So there is nothing is scarce in this world, right? So if that was the case, we didn't have to study anything. For sure. We didn't have to study anything. But that is not the case. So there always is scarcity, and because of the scarcity, we sort of need to have a what we call in the language of economics is a trade-off, right? We always have trade-off. Like if you take one decision, that means you cannot take another decision, right? So here is the thing: you have scarcity, you have desire, and you have a trade-off between these two. Now, say for example, suppose in a month's time Valentine's Day is coming, right? And some of you might have a boyfriend and a girlfriend and you want to gift him or her something very nice. Now you have limited money. Suppose you have done a job for a year or something, or you may just come fresh out of college and you don't have enough money, so probably you will just buy, I don't know, like for your girlfriend you might buy a earring perhaps, and for your boyfriend maybe you can buy some wristwatch or something, I don't know. But you want to gift him or her something really nice because you really, love him, love her, and to do that, perhaps you want to, yeah, like buy something gold or some like heavy gold ornament, I don't know, or platinum ornament. But you don't have it because you don't have money and you can't really buy it. You have the scarcity. And platinum is as such scarce in this world and it's very expensive. Gold is also getting expensive day and every day, right? So it is because of the scarcity thing, like how much is the demand for that particular element, and how much is there, uh, how much you have available, right? So because of the scarcity, it is becoming, um, like sort of because of this, yeah, lack of availability is sort of, it's scarce and it's becoming expensive also. So for you now, you need to decide, like how much money you want to earn, how much money you want to, sort of use to buy that, and you have all other uses of your money. So that's how you kind of decide. That's how you basically take decisions. So there is always a trade-off, as in how you can um, operate in this resource scarce environment. So that is the principle one, that you always have trade-off. Now, the moment I speak about trade-off, I am talking about many decisions, some of which you can take and some of which you cannot take. Now, try to recall the example of when we learned, say, the idea of cost. We learned a concept called opportunity cost, right? Now, opportunity cost is something that um, you have sort of like when you don't do something and do some other thing. So if I am, say, if I'm a farmer, for example, and I have a plot of land, and yeah, I can either do some cultivation in that plot, or I can rent it out, I can take a lease, and I can work somewhere else, right? So both of these are possible. So my opportunity cost of, say, like, so these are my two different decisions. So if I take one decision, say if I work in a factory and I rent out the land, so the opportunity cost of that is me cultivating in the same farm, right? So basically that I'm foregoing. So always remember, in economics, when we talk about cost, we're talking about opportunity costs, okay? So we are actually measuring things in terms of the sort of opportunity foregone. Okay, so what we could have done otherwise. So that's basically the idea of opportunity cost. The third principle that we sort of consider is that people think at margin. People think at margin. Decisions, we take decisions, but we always take decisions thinking at the margin. So suppose um, you are here. All of you have made a decision to be here, right? So this has happened through a series of decisions, series of actions, and then you have landed up here. Now, if you have some additional income, for example, or if you want to invest your time, your spare time to some other activities, you don't go back to say, go 1 year back to think that, okay, whether I want to do an MBA or not. So that decision is already taken. So you cannot really alter that. So what you can rather do is you can think marginally. Okay, now that I have taken the decision to be in this course, what I can do with this spare time. So probably you can learn some programming language, or probably you can learn some, some other skills, public speaking, whatever that is, and you basically try to invest your time accordingly. So you always think at a margin, and you will see when you have learned different concepts like marginal propensity, so marginal productivity of labor, and we're just going to talk about marginal propensity of saving, of consumption. So all these things you will see that we are basically taking important decisions by thinking at the margin. So that's what we mean when we say that people think at the margin. The fourth principle is that incentive works. Incentive works, right? And that is quite self-explanatory. I mean, if you if you increase the salary or wage, you can expect better skills to come. If you yeah, if the IIT Kharagpur MBA program gives a better salary, we can expect like better students to come, so on and so forth. So that way, it's always the incentive that matters. In economics, you will see all the models. If we kind of think through it, we will see that it is incentive that matters. Now, a fifth principle that is quite fundamental in economics, and we learn in trade theory, that through trade we actually